All right. So welcome tonight, everybody. It's so great to be here and to see all of you. I am the Black Carnivore, and we have
Arien. Hey
Arien.
everyone.
And we are here tonight to talk to you about lots of fun stuff. If you're interested in finding out what the difference is between being thin and healthy, tonight is the show for you. We've heard a lot in the carnivore and the keto community, frankly, about, different things that people are trying, biohacking and stuff like that. And it may or may not work for you. So, stick around to hear about whether this is something that you want to try or whether you got to stick with the basics and just, get yourself healthy and focus on optimal health. So let's dig in for the good stuff. And if you're new here, please give me a thumbs up in the chat so I can call you out. I would love to say hi and welcome back to all of the regulars. I'm so glad to see all of you. We have a bunch of people here, so go ahead and hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the little click the little bell icon so that you can
Yep.
get notified every time I do a video, because I don't always tell people that this is coming. So, yeah. So
Do we want to get the regulars to say where they're from or say what they ate today or something like that?
Oh, yeah. I'd love to hear what everybody ate today. So, yeah. Go ahead. All the regulars, type in the chat box. What did you eat today? And don't forget to hit the like button. All
So,
right.
Ade, what did you eat today?
What did I eat today? Oh, God. It was super boring and not good. I made hamburgers last night. And I fried them in the frying pan instead of using the air fryer. I've been frying in the frying pan, in the cast iron pan, and it's been good. But this batch was one too many, I think, in the same pan without like cleaning and stuff in between. So not pleasant. And I also am out of food. Didn't have a chance to go to the grocery store. I did make some I jerkied beef heart last night. This is
Mm.
mostly for the dog, but I've been eating some as well. Yeah, but not a good dinner all around. Yeah.
So you're like disappointed with it?
I mean, hungry. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I don't love heart, I can only take so much of it. I did also have a bunch of bone broth left, which I mixed up with some extra butter. So that, well, ghee. So, that's tasty.
Okay, that's something at least. That'll keep you
Something.
going
Yeah. Till tomorrow.
when you can finally get to the store.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
How about
yeah,
you?
I had a bunch of leftovers today. So leftover rib roast this morning, and then what was the other thing? Oh, I scrambled up a bunch of eggs with pulled pork. I just those were the two things in the fridge that I wanted, so I threw them together in a pan, and
Mm-hmm.
it came out pretty good.
Nice. Wow. Well, that sounds delicious. Lucky you. Yeah. So, well, let's see. We've got a bunch of people in the chat, so let's go through. Hey, Pandemic Carnivore. She asks, who thinks that carbs are a gateway drug to sugar? So I think that is, well, that's of course the title. So it's that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I see Abigail Penn raised her hand. Hey, Delisa, good to see you. Let's see. Hey, Renee, it's good to see you. Miss Tay D, hey. Melvina Johnson from South Carolina, nice, good to see you. And then we have Studsy Nubian, yes, yes. Plum, and so many of our regulars. I love it. Hey, Black Passport Fit, good to see you. Glenda Reed, great to see you. Studsy Nubian had ribeye and cheese as snacks, nice. And let's see. Wow, Jamila Felix, good to see you. Chicken wings, shrimp, and fried eggs, yum.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Miss
that
Tatey
sounds
had,
good as hell.
yeah. Miss Tatey had bacon and eggs for breakfast and pulled pork for dinner. Yeah. Delisa had ribeye, egg pudding with cinnamon and cocoa. So, yeah, Delisa, I saw your egg pudding. Very curious. I am not familiar with what that is. So, yeah, yum.
It's
Um,
sweeping through our whole community right now for like the past week.
yeah, I saw some rumblings of that, so I'm very curious to hear more. Pandemic Carnivore had tilapia breaded in pork rinds. Let's see, this sounds good. Renee is waiting on her Bel Campo order. Awesome. Ordered beef suet and bone marrow. Nice. Ron Goot had New York, 4 New York strips and 4 eggs cooked in beef tallow and cheese. That is an appetite. Good job. I love it.
Wow.
Love it. Yeah. Seabliss, hey, good to see you. Renee had 2 American Wagyu beef patties and chicken thigh and snacked on some pork rinds. Nice. That is awesome. So awesome. Love it. Let's see. And Lisa's about to eat half a pound of bacon when it comes out of the oven in about 10 minutes. Yeah, can't think of anything better. Nice. Nice. Okay, and Miss M is new to the live chat and did her first Zoom meeting yesterday. Yes, all right, brava! I am so excited that
Welcome.
yeah, that you're here. Welcome, absolutely. Seabliss had meatballs and egg pudding with bacon and mayo. Yum. Okay. And Glenda had leftover ham hocks and neck bones, pork bone broth, large coffee with butter and heavy cream. About to have a ribeye steak and egg for dinner with electrolyte water. Yeah, that is all the good stuff. That is
Yeah.
everything. That is everything all at once. Black and Keto is intrigued by the egg pudding. Yeah, we gotta talk about that for sure. Um, yeah. So, and it's funny that Glenda says this about the ham hock. So I've been, so I have some chuck roast, but it's kind of lean. And so I wanted to have like a thicker broth. And so I decided to try to get something that is more, has more collagen in it. So I'd get something a little gelatinous. So I was at the store and I saw they had smoked, I guess they were smoked ham hocks. So I decided to get them. I don't love the smoking, but I do want, the gelatinous part of it. So I didn't use it in my last bunch, but I think I will soon. But I do have some broth that is very good. So, kind of excited to have that.
What part of the pig does the ham hock come from?
I think it's the foot or the ankle and foot.
Is it okay? Well, it can't be the whole foot because you would see like the toes and fingernails and stuff, right? So
I don't know, but thanks for making me think about that.
I mean, hey, we're eating animals.
Yeah,
Animals have fingers and nails just like us.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's also called pork knuckle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's the joint that attaches a pig's foot to its leg.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I told everybody in the last Zoom I went to market and saw pig feet, and
Mm-hmm.
this was the first time I had seen like pig feet this big. Like it was like a whole pig foot. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
long, and it was like the foot all the way past the ankle to what looked like the knee, just about. So I guess the
Mm-hmm.
hock is the part right above the foot.
Mm-hmm. I think so. So I don't know. I don't want to think about it too closely. Just, eat it and like, yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, I think that we have some interesting things here that people are eating, and Romeo is having breakfast pork chop. Rolled for breakfast a pork chop, lunch a sirloin and slice of bacon, dinner calf's liver and meatballs.
Hmm.
Wow, yum.
Okay.
So yeah, excellent. And yeah, Black and Keto says it's like the ankle area. I think personally, I love them. Um, and Studsy Nubian says I used to kill some pig feet in my younger days. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was growing up, my grandfather used to have pickled pork knuckles, pig knuckles, in a jar that, just sitting on the front porch in the summertime. We would just, yeah, eat it.
Quite
So,
country.
Yeah, yeah. This is in New York City, listening to the game, the baseball game. But yeah, that's what we did. So it was good times, good times.
Hmm. My
So
dad
any,
used to eat
uh-huh.
pig feet, but yeah, I've never had them.
Yeah,
He says the meat is really good.
that's what they all say. Always say it's really good. So I don't know, maybe
Maybe
I
one
think
day.
so. So who here? Well, anybody here like dive into that stuff? Pickled pig's feet. Um, let's see. Heather says Cynthia posted it in the Facebook group. I had to try it, and I've had it every day since. I don't know what she's referring to. I'm
Just
curious
talking
if
about the egg
that's.
pudding.
Oh, okay, the egg pudding. All right, nice. Um, well, then we're gonna have to hear some reports from all of you. So let's dive right into this week's topic. What do you say, Arien? We were talking about. Well, I think I made the title of this video, "Are Carbs a Gateway Drug?" And I think that's a really great way to kind of launch into this topic. Or should we just start talking about healthy versus thin first?
Hmm. I guess we might could go the first way because
Mm-hmm.
probably I feel like most carnivores have had experiences, and probably keto people too, but I think they're a little
Mm-hmm.
less aware of it because they're probably eating carbs more regularly than we are. That
Mm-hmm.
you'll eat something that you don't think will cause cravings. You'll eat something that you think is just oh, it's low on the glycemic index, it's not going to be a big deal, and then the next day you have a craving for potato chips or cookies that you didn't
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
the day before. And then you can pinpoint it to, oh, well, it's because I ate this thing that didn't even taste sweet, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
product that breaks down to sugar. Like you say all the time that alcohol is sugar and
Mm-hmm.
grains are sugar, and they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were just talking today. I can taste the sugar in like wine now
Mm-hmm.
that I used to not be able to taste. And this is like dry wine. I'm not talking about like sweet wine or something.
Yeah.
But wines that are so-called dry, if I taste them now, I'll sometimes like, oh, it tastes gross because it
Yeah.
tastes.
Yeah. So yeah, totally agree. So, in what way are they, I mean, what are the effects that you find happening like, weeks or days afterwards? Because I think that's really where the danger lies.
I know depending on the amount, I can get the irritation, and for me, or I guess the irritation, that's what we
Mm-hmm.
call it, but it's inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll feel that kind of quickly and most acutely in my gut, and that will happen. It doesn't take a lot to do that. I remember
Mm-hmm.
one time I did keto for a while and then had two slices of pizza, and I thought, oh, two slices, that's not even that much.
Right.
The next day was not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, I find that, I may be able to eat something and not like have a terrible physical reaction, but my cravings kick up over the next few days. And,
That's it.
that really is for me the danger point. And then over time, that means that I'm more and more likely to have more and more slips, which become bigger and bigger. So for me, I feel like in that way, sweet acts as a gateway drug, regardless of what it is. And alcohol, for me, is also sweet in that sense. I mean, it functions like a sugar in my body. Do you
Yeah,
find the same?
totally, totally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right that like you go for if you're like, say you make the decision to cheat, or I'll talk about me specifically, not theoretically. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
make the decision to cheat, so then I'll have something sweet, and then I won't have anything more sweet, but then I'm more likely to cheat with something that is still a sugar thing, but not sweet. So like then I'm more likely to think about the wine in the first place, or
Mm-hmm.
something that's like based on grains,
Mm-hmm.
where I wasn't before. That wasn't even a part of the thought process.
Right. So you just generally find yourself having more cravings and more kind of stuff like seeps into your day, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas before any of that stuff's happening, it's so easy to not do any of that all day and to not
Yeah.
even think about it.
And what about your appetite? Do you find that you're eating more or more often?
Um, I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
so.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I find that I am too. So, there is like a greater effect of trying some of these things that, that has a longer lasting effect. And, and so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, as much as I want to say, um, like carbs are not, you know, there are some that really kind of work. I feel like everything becomes a little harder when you add in
Hmm.
some carbs. So it doesn't mean that they're impossible. And some people are fine and totally able to deal with, the slight increase in cravings or the slight increase in appetite. But I can't, or I don't want to anymore. I guess that's really the way it is. I feel like I've gone a long time, most of my life, really struggling and trying not to, trying not to eat extra, eat more, be hungry, like restricting all of that stuff, and I just don't want to do it anymore. I just don't want to do it at all anymore. So, so that's kind of the challenge for me, and so yeah, I see carbs as kind of being a gateway, and certainly for me. But I'm seeing it with other people too. So as much as people say, "Oh, it's a little bit, it's okay," I just am not seeing that in people's behavior. What do you think?
Yeah. And that's where I think that's why I come back to how you crafted the three levels of the diet and saying that the left side is the
Strict,
yeah,
moderate, and
the left
relaxed.
side is the strict, and that's where you start. And I want you
Hmm.
to spend at least like 2 weeks to a month there. Just stay there, keep it simple, don't cheat, and see the difference. Because I think it's real easy for us to ignore a lot of these other things that are happening. It's real easy to say, oh, yeah, I eat carbs and I'm fine. And what you mean is you're fine as far as the things that you're used to thinking about. Like, well, as long as I didn't throw up or have like horribly painful digestion, then
Yeah.
I think that I'm fine. But
Right.
how was your sleep for the next few days? How'd your skin feel for the next few days? Like a lot of people have eczema problems that flare up like as soon as they look at some
Right.
bread. Like,
Yeah.
um, there's a lot that you're not thinking about that could be causing problems, or I mean, problems that are occurring that you're ignoring because we're just used to ignoring this stuff for
Mm-hmm.
basically our whole lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, so I guess the question is, I mean, like right now, of course, we're talking about this because, of course, tons of people are talking about raw honey as being something that's a useful and helpful addition to the carnivore diet. And we have had
Mm,
Arien and I had a lovely, a lovely live stream a couple weeks back called Carnivore, Land of Milk and Honey.
mhm.
And I think we had a great discussion about it, and I think that you'll get some clarity about where we stand and why why we take that position on raw honey in particular. But the other issue is I think that people are starting to introduce more fruits. I hear about people suggesting that carbs. I guess using carbs as a performance enhancer are can be really helpful for people, and as a well, kind of a good biohack. I see posts like that a lot from a lot of the experts that we have been following and learning about the keto and carnivore diet through. And and I think I'm starting to get frustrated because I feel like a lot of people who are not metabolically healthy are hearing of this, these suggestions and this advice, and it is derailing their path to success.
Yeah.
So, so that's why we wanted to talk about this tonight. What do you think, Arien?
Yeah. It's just it's frustrating to me because, like we said on that show, the Land of Milk and Honey one, like what's important to me isn't really what healthy people can do, but also I feel like healthy people are fooling themselves at the same time. So I guess I have 2 points. Like on one hand, yeah, I'm pissed off. Pretty much anytime honey comes up, anytime someone says, oh, actually, it's not carbs that are the problem, it's this thing here, or a moderate amount of carbs up to some number is fine, it doesn't affect your glucose meter, I always go like, oh, that doesn't help anyone who actually needs your help.
Right.
Like the folks who, if someone's like CAC score, what is that? Calcium arterial score, or calcium artery score, something like that, or something like that. If that score is 0 and your insulin's low and everything else, then okay, fine. Do whatever the hell you want. Chances are you're not the person that needs help, though. The ones who do need help are looking at you. They're looking at this influencer and they're saying, all right, so carnivore diet is great and I need to be doing that. It worked for him, but I can keep eating honey. I can use honey as a sweetener, and if I use raw honey instead of sugar, then it's all good.
Yeah.
Like, it's leading them down the wrong path. It's confusing. And I also think, though, that even for the healthy folks, even for the ones, or at least that we're calling healthy, like, we were not meant to, as far as I can tell, have carbohydrates on a regular basis. I think it was a sometime thing. I think we got beat up. Like, we beat up our bodies with them for a while, and then you didn't have them for a long time, and you got back to what was actually good. Like, you put on some fat, and then you got back to what you should be eating, what your body was really built to eat.
Yeah. Well, I think you raise a great point. One, I think it's important to note that healthy is not... healthy is a point in time. It's not a state of being.
Yeah.
So,
it's not forever.
Right. It is not forever. And, our actions on a day-to-day basis determine whether we are healthy or not. And so when we talk about, I do hear people saying, well, people who are healthy can have a little more leeway. They can have this, they can have that. And I would say, one, you're healthy until you're not. And, how many times you indulge in this and that, determines how healthy you are. But even if that weren't the case, even if you just magically were healthy and you just were healthy, always going to be healthy no matter what you do. Such a small portion of the total population is like metabolically healthy that I feel like, what is the point of talking about what works for healthy people? They are the anomaly. They are not everybody. So
they're the weirdos. It's something like 12%.
Right. So, why are we talking about them? And so they are standing up. They are the, the influencers, the experts in this space, and they are talking about the things that they're doing to biohack to get to optimal health. But for the person, that's like got 120 pounds to lose and is insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, on a whole bunch of medications, that doesn't mean anything. Like, that doesn't mean anything for us. It's not helpful. So I kind of get frustrated listening to, to those people start talking about, honey and trying this and that, because that's damaging for people who really need to eat this way and really need to have this information. And it's confusing.
Yeah. Like, it's frustrating to see folks who are like, they're new, they're figuring things out, and they're getting a more confusing message. Like, I think part of our goal lately has been to just make it as simple as possible. Like
Yeah.
there's all kinds of advanced stuff that we could talk about. There's all the different things you could do, but we need you to start
Hmm.
simple and stay simple,
Yeah.
and maybe you can figure out if you can add a little bit of
Yeah.
this extra stuff. You can do things a little bit different, but the foundation, the baseline is carnivore. If you just eat meat, you will be great.
Right.
And
And I
it,
think,
yeah,
we're
it,
trying to, so sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, we're trying to reduce the barrier to entry, and and I think like Arien and I really worked hard on that one slide I created about
Yeah,
common problems and common solutions, because there are some challenges to starting to eat this way, and the strict way of doing carnivore, it is strict, and there are some obstacles in that first couple of weeks, but if you can just get through that, you'll see once you get to the other side how unbelievable this way of eating is. So, that's kind of like our goal here. Um, Now, I saw there was something interesting in the chat. Siebla says that's what happened with Tim Noakes, and he was a marathoner and ended up being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So, yeah, I think Tim Noakes is a really interesting example. Like, he talks about how it's just in his family, that they are just very, very insulin resistant, and his father, I believe, died in his late 50s. The father was in his late 50s when he died from complications from diabetes. So Tim Noakes was on his way there, and despite running multiple marathons in a year on a regular basis for years, still couldn't prevent the insulin resistance that was good, or his outstanding and huge reaction to sugar. He was not able to run out of it or run beyond it, as so to speak. So for those people who are like, exercise can solve the problem, I mean, I don't know about you, I am not running multiple marathons a year. So if if this guy who's running that much could not make exercise reverse his diabetes, there's no shot that I can, with me
right.
like walking my like 3 miles, and like getting my
Yeah,
steps in, like that's crazy. That's not going to do it.
right.
So, yeah, so I feel like, those healthy people who are like focusing on, their exercise as the tool to, to say, okay, well, the sugar is okay because I'm working it off. It's like, that's not what's happening.
Yeah, like
Good.
one, you're really not working it off. Like the little bit of you doing moderate exercise throughout the day is going to be, as far as burning calories, way more effective even than if
Hmm.
you worked out intensely for 45 minutes or an hour. Like if you just did housework all day long, you would burn more calories, but you would also
Hmm.
never burn anywhere near the calories that you actually needed to eat in that day. And when you're not working out, you're going to be less active because your body
Hmm.
has less energy because you just put out a whole bunch of energy all at once.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that's probably an aside, but yeah, the exercise to burn calories thing does not work. But even like exercise for insulin resistance, like, or to combat insulin resistance, like that works to an extent, but your diet is still the biggest part of it. The biggest part of you keeping yourself insulin sensitive, I guess, or we'll say metabolically sound to be more accurate.
Well, I used to think like I can have a little sugar and burn it off. So like I might eat a Hershey Kiss on the way to the gym and be like, it's okay because I'm gonna go burn it off.
Mm,
But now I'm like, no, that wasn't okay. That really just wasn't.
yeah, like it doesn't, when you know the like hormonal biology, you know that that doesn't, the two
Yeah,
don't equal out.
yeah,
Um, that sugar is doing much, it's having much more impact on you than whatever you were about to do in the gym. And then if you're like me, I don't go to the gym, I'm lazy, I don't really like working out, like me walking around my
we
house and doing
we
my
okay.
little
We
house
don't
stuff.
recommend that either. You should
No,
you
no,
should
no.
also do something.
I do stuff. I do
Yeah.
stuff around my
Okay.
house. I don't go to the
Okay.
gym. But
Okay.
just yeah, generally,
Yeah.
you should probably be more active than me, but I don't know. Um,
I mean, you should not have to,
as for fit
run
is
within
gonna choke me in a second.
you should not have to run within an inch of your life to keep your weight maintained. You
Yeah.
should be able to maintain your weight by, just by the way that you're eating. If you want to look, just stunning and ripped and shredded, then you must exercise. And exercise is helpful. It's important. It is
Yes.
good for you. So we
Yes.
support that.
Yeah.
Heather, I gotta say, Heather says, "Oh goodness, grass-fed girl asked me about honey," and I was like, I don't really care if people want to add honey because I was tired of hearing about it. Don't kick me out when that video comes out. Okay, we're not doing that. We're not kicking you out. We support all of our black carnivores, but this keeps coming up. But like when people come to us and say, I don't understand, I'm not losing weight. Every couple of days I, have a little of this or a little of that, or I have a little cheat, it all begins with that 1 teaspoon of honey
Yeah.
or whatever.
And yeah, and that's really that's kind of like maybe the point of a lot of this is that like if it's working for you at a certain time, like you said, so healthy is not a thing that just happens and you are healthy forever. Um, so whatever you're doing, you eating honey, you having a bunch of heavy cream and coffee, like that might be working for a while, and at some point it may stop working. Maybe doing artificial sweeteners is working for now, and at some point it may not work. And if at any time you're realizing like I would like to feel better or I would like to have different results, I'm at a weight loss stall, you need to look at those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see the pandemic carnivore says, or no, Seebless says that I think with the influx of people into carnivory, I don't think they're expecting the reality of eating meat only. I, I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
That was like a great point. Yes. And,
Which is,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's carnivore. So you kind of, for me, I kind of expect that. But yeah, I think people come in and they look around and they go, Really? Y'all just eat meat? Like, just meat.
I know. Like when I say carnivore, people are like, "Oh yeah, carnivore, that's cool." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And then they're like, "Yeah, you eat meat." And it's like, "No, you're not getting it." Like
No, no.
they're like, "I'm a carnivore too. Yeah, I eat meat. I'm not a vegetarian. I love meat." And it's like, "No, you're not getting it."
Yeah, yeah, like no, no. I love meat, but like I have whole days, whole weeks where I eat nothing but like
Mhm.
absolutely nothing but. And then they go, What? Where do you get your vitamins from? From my meat. Like, yeah, it's a really foreign idea to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think they maybe they're hitting a wall where they're going like there's nothing sweet. It turns out there's nothing from an animal that's sweet. Where do I get my sweet from?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we gotta, you gotta let go of that sweet taste thing. And, this is why, I mean, I know, I have a lot of questions like, stevia, it's natural, it's zero carbs. Why is that a problem? And I think all of that is it's really, really hard to, to reacclimate your taste buds and to move into the world of savory if you're still having sweet. And,
Yeah.
there's something different happens when you really cut it out and you really focus on, the meat and the fat. So, and I want everyone to at least experience that. And then, from an informed position, decide, I don't want to feel that good. you know, life
You
is
know what?
just,
If people if when quitting or cheating carnivore you had to write down on a piece of paper, I would like to not feel good.
yeah. That is a great idea. Maybe I put that all to you when you were deciding that you were going to have something. Write a post-it note that says, "I don't want to feel that good. These are the things that I am likely going to feel over the next couple of days to a week, and I am an adult. I accept the consequences of my actions, and I'm okay with it, and then it's fine.
Right.
It's your
Yeah.
business, your body. Only you live through that. But don't pretend that those things aren't going to happen.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what we really want to focus on
Right.
today is like, this is real. This
Yeah.
happens.
Record yourself in your phone. I, Arien, being of
Mm-hmm.
sound body and mind, do so choose to eat this donut and feel the effects that it shall wreak upon my system on this day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, so yeah, I think that getting through, really accepting the reality of what a carnivore diet is important, and understanding that. But like, you know, and there's nothing that is going to replace the taste of sweet. I mean, savory is delicious, but it is not sweet, and it's never going to be sweet. So, you just kind of gotta, take a step back. And in that way, though, I think, that's how I think carbs are a gateway drug, because even the littlest amount, it always grows into a bigger amount. So even when you start with like a half a teaspoon of honey, it tends to grow. And I don't know why. Some people just are not able to to stop that progression. Some people, there are a few people who are, and I know there are people in this chat and who are watching who are, and I am jealous of you. You're awesome, but I don't know. I see so many people who are not able to do that. What do you think, Arien?
I I think that they are, but the effects are still there. Like maybe they're just decreased for some people because like I bring this up all the time. Like I do um I'll eat at my parents, and I can say that it doesn't affect me, but that's not true. It
Mm-hmm.
does. It just doesn't affect me so much that like at this point I feel like telling them like, all right, so when I come to your house, I'm only eating the meat and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it does affect everybody. I think some people are just able to deal with those effects and maybe not be so like challenged afterwards, like, oh, I'm having cravings and I ended up on a 3 day binge or something like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I do think that it's a slippery slope,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a point that I wanted to bring up. I think part of that slippery slope is we just can't, for some reason, we can't just accept that we don't need carbohydrates. Like, and I mean like us as people, as the ones who are influenced, and the influencers too. Like everyone has a hard time. Like I was listening to a podcast earlier, and Pandemic Carnivores kind of know exactly what I'm talking about. But the guy on the podcast, he was a guest on the show, and he was saying, well, you can go carnivore because there's really like no need for vegetables. So why are we eating vegetables then?
Yeah.
If there's literally no need for them, why are we eating them? And he says, because they taste good. No, they don't.
Yeah.
Who are you lying to? No, they don't.
Yeah.
I think a few people have like one or two vegetables that they really like, but for the most part, I think most people would be happy not eating vegetables. Period.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
taste good. We don't need them. And I don't understand why we have such a hard time just accepting that you can just get rid of carbs altogether. You can just not eat carbs. And what that means is you don't eat plants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I definitely found it, certainly in keto. I saw when I was doing keto, I found vegetables to be a great vehicle for fat, and that is kind of how I used them and thought about them. So, if they were doused in butter, great, but if not, not so much. But I think that like a lot of keto people, you kind of over time get to the point, especially if you're not the type of keto person that's doing a lot of like processed products and using the nut flours and stuff like that. If you're not that type of person, you kind of end up having just less and less vegetables, because you do, because they're not all that exciting and interesting. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what happened to me. And so at a certain point, it was just kind of like, you know, my vegetable consumption was performative. It was just like,
I was performing for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not even for myself. It's like if I were out or someplace where they were offered to me, I would eat them. But if I were home, I didn't eat them. There were no vegetables, and I just was
Oh.
okay with that. So yeah, the summer of 2017. This was before I went carnivore.
Mhm.
I basically ate the same thing every day for the entire summer. I was running for city council. It was obviously a very grueling activity, and I was super super busy. So I just bought a bottle of Rayos, tomato sauce and 2 pounds of ground beef, cooked them up, and I made, this sort of stew, and I ate that every single meal every day. And I basically ate about about 2 pounds of ground beef and, a bottle of the sauce, or so maybe half of it, because my brother was also here and he was eating it. So we were splitting it, but it's so nutritious. I felt full, satisfied, so I just, that was it. So I was almost carnivore. Not there, but almost. And
Yeah.
I had intended to have it like spaghetti sauce on top of like steamed broccoli, and I did that for like 2 meals, and then just never got back to the broccoli.
Yeah. So when I say performative, like that was my trajectory. For a while, I would eat vegetables because I've been told to eat vegetables. So it's not that I really loved the taste of anything. Like broccoli was like okay. Green beans were better, but green beans were best when I flavored them with meat, like meat and
Mm-hmm.
salt.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually, what I liked was the green bean broth that I made. The beans themselves didn't taste like anything. Um, but then, yeah, at some point, like same as you, right before I went carnivore, I just got tired of cooking vegetables. I
Mm-hmm.
realized that I didn't really want to eat them. So then I'm not even eating them at home. I'm not even performing nutrition for myself. I'm at home like, nope, I don't need to do any of this. Or I don't feel like doing it. So I kind of felt guilty and I would just eat vegetables when I was out.
Yeah,
If I'm at a
exactly.
restaurant, they're going to give me a salad or something. I guess I'll eat that.
Yeah. So I see Studsy Nubian says sweet potatoes taste so good. So what's going on, Studsy
I
Nubian?
have questions. Well,
I know. So I know that
this
we
is the
have
same
people
person
here.
that
Yeah,
pounds OJ every morning.
yeah.
So
So I know we have people here who are not quite ready to go carnivore, and who are watching, perhaps for inspiration and whatnot. So that's totally fine. I get it. That's gonna happen. And all I would say to you is you have to try. There are some things, there's some experiences that people can describe and can tell you, but they are meaningless until you actually experience them. And I know for a long time I was saying, I'm just about carnivore. I'm just about carnivore. But there's a difference between just about and doing it. And so you just give it a try. You're just gonna have to put aside the sweet potatoes and so on and so forth, and give it a try. Yeah. So the other
and
thing, let's see. Go ahead.
and Delisa had said that she loves vegetables, but she doesn't miss them. Miss M says that she does miss vegetables. I I can't figure it out. I feel like probably like 4 out of 5 people, if you really talk to them about it, would tell you, no, I don't like vegetables. But there's gonna be those ones, and I don't know. I don't know who those folks. I don't understand those folks. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in their body that's making vegetables taste good to them, but
Yeah.
um,
I think that with vegetables, I thought I missed vegetables, but what I really missed was the salad dressings and the various sauces and condiments that went onto these things, which typically had sugar or some kind of sweetener. So that, once you remove that, like, broccoli by itself, or, you know, uh, Brussels sprouts just steamed or boiled, like, there's nothing there that's appealing.
You
But
know what I will say? Every once in a while, I like the texture of certain vegetables. Um, so like cucumber, and actually, come to think of it, it's the ones that are mostly water.
hmm
Um, Cucumber tastes good sometimes, and really, it doesn't taste good. It feels good to eat, to chew it.
hmm
Um,
So crispy and crunchy are textures that sometimes are hard to achieve in carnivore,
yeah,
and I think that's what you're talking about, and that's something that people do. I feel like that, if anything, was kind of the hardest thing for me to get used to. So um, there's pork rinds that give you some of that crunch. There's frying, any kind of skin of any animal. If you fry it, it gets that crunchiness, and so that can achieve that. But yeah.
yeah. And when the last time like I was really into that taste, I was also thirsty. Like I wonder if I had just drank plain water, would I have been fine and not even cared about the cucumber after, or
hmm
squash, or whichever it was. It was one of those two.
Yeah. But some people, are very sensitive, so even a little bit is a problem. Let's
Yeah.
see. Carnivore Mystics is just now able to listen. Did we talk about the Carb Carnivore Guys video? I don't know who that is, so if you could
Carnivore.
elaborate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
so everyone is confused. And Plum
I
says
have a
salad dressing
guess.
makes salad sexy.
It does.
Yes. Especially when doused with sugar, which is what most salads are, then they start putting the fruit and other stuff in them. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and Miss M says she used to do cauliflower soup. Soup. I can't talk today. Cauliflower soup with Italian sausage, and it was so good. But she quit because she realized that the bloating that they gave her. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time I made mashed potatoes with cauliflower, I used, heavy whipping cream and lots of butter, and I tasted them, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, mashed potatoes. This is so incredible. And I ate the whole thing. But what I didn't realize is that I just ate a whole head of cauliflower. A whole head of cauliflower. I mean, oh my God. If somebody had just said, hey, this is not a potato, you're eating a whole head of cauliflower, I would have I would have avoided disastrous consequences. So that was the first and last time that I made cauliflower mashed potatoes.
Damn.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So
it's
it's
so
cauliflower.
good.
So is it worse than eating just plain old mashed potatoes?
I mean, if you're counting carbs, it's better because it's less carbs, but
Mm.
it's still a whole head. Typically, if it were potatoes, I would have been very carefully measuring and I would not have just eaten the whole pot, because it's like cauliflower. So it's like, oh, it's free and, just butter and heavy whipping cream. So, the fault still lay with me.
Mm.
I clearly overindulged, but it was, but it was still not, it was a terrible, terrible, terrible time. So, yeah,
So hold on.
yeah,
I just love how, because we're respectable and we don't like potty humor. That's not a thing that we do on this channel. We're above that.
yeah,
We're gonna talk about vices for a really little bit on Thursday, and that's gonna be the dirtiest that we ever go on this channel. But because we're so respectable, we don't talk about indigestion and any of those symptoms in any real way. We just say, "Oh, it was a really bad time." And we all know what that means, and we all just smooth right past it because we're not trying to really talk about it. But yeah, a bad time.
yeah, bad time. So, but the fault did lay with me. I did not need to eat the whole pot, and I could just have had a little bit. But in my head, it's like, oh, it's free. It's vegetables. It's okay. So yeah, my mistake.
And you
Um,
found out.
yeah,
Yeah.
I found out. So, let's see. So, but well, let's see. I see Carnivore Mystic says the guy from the Zoom on Saturday, Rob Stewart on YouTube, how to add
Yeah,
carbs to your car over diet.
Carnivore. She's probably
Oh,
typing on her phone or something. But
okay.
yeah, so I remember what she was talking about. So yeah, I forget why I was looking this up, but I'm like running Saturday's Zoom, and I'm on YouTube for some reason, and I find this guy who is saying like carbs to add to your strict carnivore diet. Like that's the name of the video. And I'm like, what the,
Yeah.
like my head hurts just thinking about it. And he was saying that a lot of, and this is a thing that I'm seeing on commercials more and more nowadays, like YouTube commercials, like, oh, the keto diet is hard to stick with because you got to give up your favorite grains. Like, well, then if you don't want to give up your favorite grains, then you're not doing keto. Just
Yeah.
give up, just go home, and I don't know, like deal with the pain later. But so he's saying like first he's talking about like adding berries and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, a lot of people do that. I understand. You still want your sweet and you want to do it in the lowest glycemic index way possible. Okay, I get it. And but he's also talking about like adding carbs to get enough calories. And I'm like, but if you're eating fatty meat, you will have no problem getting enough calories. Fat has twice as much energy as carbohydrates do. It is more than twice as much. I don't
Yeah.
understand. I'm still confused. Um, he's talking about people improving their digestion by adding carbs, and I'm going, well, for the most part, if your digestion is messed up while you're eating meat, you have another problem that needs to be fixed. Adding fiber to the problem just because, all right, so I'll say the word, it'll make you poop better. Okay, great, but that didn't solve your problem. I,
Yeah.
the whole it was another person, and he was calling it strict carnivore, which I really don't understand.
Yeah.
Like with or without your chart or the black carnivore chart, whatever we're calling it, like strict means a thing, and she okay?
Nice. Yeah.
I think she just sneezed or something.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
like strict means a thing. Words mean things, and you can't call something strict and then add non-strict to it, and it's still strict. Like the math ain't mathin'. I don't know. I don't understand
hmm.
why this stuff needs to exist.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. And I think that all of these things, all of these videos that we're seeing are just a reflection of people's unwillingness or inability to let go of carbs and sweet. And that's kind of it. And I get it. I get why
Yeah,
it's hard. And I remember hearing people really talking about how fruit is okay. Some fruit is okay because it's meant to be eaten and it's designed to be eaten and for animals to excrete it somewhere else so that, that plant can then go on and propagate in another area. And I think that that makes some sense, but we're eating way more things than are that kind of fruit. Avocado is not meant to be consumed that way. That's not how it propagates. Or cucumbers, or tomatoes. Well, maybe
yeah.
tomatoes
Actually,
are. Mangoes. Like these are. They don't work that way. So what are we? What are we doing here? And I think that there's I'm willing to tolerate that as much as people are able to do it without there being a problem. But if you're not achieving optimal health, then you have to ask yourself, is that really okay? Sorry, Deb, I kind of threw you under the bus, but
it was 8A this time, not me. I
it
didn't
was
even bring
me
up
it was me
avocados.
it was me. Yeah, but so yeah, it gets confusing when people are really trying to rationalize being able to continue eating carbs. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Arian?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Was
Looking at
reading.
the chat.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I know there's interesting stuff going on in there, so I keep going back in. It's hard to stay out of there,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that you all
Uh,
have a lot to say about the topic, because this stuff is really this is hard. It really is hard stuff. It's hard to wrap your head around.
yeah. And actually, I was having a random thought. This is where my mind was going everywhere. So you started talking avocados, and I was going, okay. So the normal thing with fruit is that the animal eats the fruit, and animals aren't picky like us, so they're not like picking out just the meat and I'm gonna not eat this core. Like they eat the whole thing and then they expel the seeds, and that's how the seeds get somewhere else. But like avocado seeds are like that big. Like is something eating a whole avocado at a time? Like how is it supposed to be
Yeah,
possible?
avocado seeds are bigger than that. They're like, they're huge.
Yeah,
Yeah. And for small animals like a squirrel or whatever, like even a cherry pit is not small. you know?
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I'm sorry, Pandemic Carnivore. She says that's okay. I don't have issues with avocados, and I will, unless it gives me problems. And avocado is mostly fat, anywho.
It is. That's true.
It's true.
And a good amount of
So,
fiber. So please don't eat a ton.
yeah. So, yeah. So I think that we want to make sure that we are releasing some of this attraction and hold that we have on and carbs, and really giving this this a shot. Really going ahead and trying it. Now, we've kind of talked about this off and on, but what is the difference between healthy and thin? What in your opinion, Arien?
So I would say that thin can be an indicator of healthy, but for me, my definition of healthy is evolving, and I think it's kind of related to metabolic syndrome and like how that's like five different things that we use to decide if a person's healthy or not. Like it comes down to more than just what you look like on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of those things qualitatively can be broken down to how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she just walked out. um, so if
He's
you,
talking about my dog, who was just, there was a whole lot of movement going on over there.
oh yeah, they can't see because in
Yeah.
the video it's
Yeah.
just your face, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a view of A's whole background. Um, but yeah, I think that it's like it's if you want to think about it quantitatively, then it's all those things in metabolic syndrome. At least I think those are very big parts of health. But I think qualitatively it's probably more useful for people to just on a day by day basis, or to like look at your friends, look at people, listen to how people describe themselves in their lives, and to decide like how healthy they are,
Mm-hmm.
to try to get an idea of if you want to live like they're living. If you don't sleep good, um, if you are tired all the time, if your skin doesn't feel good, like all of these things that just come down to good or bad.
Yeah.
Like you know what those things are, you know what feeling good is, or at least you know that you could feel better. You hear about other people feeling better. I think that's health.
Yeah. Exactly. And, one of the things that we're trying to do is create like a checklist of lots of different symptoms to to consider and to scan your body for. Because like you, I didn't understand what, I wasn't thinking about the larger picture of what health is. And so like for me, when I was eating dairy, because I didn't have any digestive upset, I was like, well, dairy doesn't bother me. And I, for a long time, was like, dairy doesn't bother me. It's okay. I can have it. And when I finally decided to just test it, and then discovered in very short order my asthma disappeared, then it became clear to me that there's a lot of systems that are involved in the body, and where that food or that problem manifests is, can be different at different times and different places. So, for different people. So just because, you're not experiencing what you have decided is going to be the problem doesn't mean that it isn't causing a problem. And you sometimes have to look more broadly at your whole body to decide, whether you're having, you're having symptoms or not.
Yeah. Like what I find, actually, excuse me, sorry, nose is acting weird. The weather has changed and I feel like my sinuses are being affected by it. Oh, you're going to try to get her to come up?
I was gonna try because someone did say, but I don't think that I'll get her into
saying
frame.
show the doggy.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I'll fill time. I think that
I don't think it's gonna work. She's like,
now,
I don't want this beef heart that much. Stop doing this.
Oh damn! And now I forgot what I was saying.
Oh,
almost. There we go.
There we go. Say hi. Yeah, she doesn't like this. So there you go, and here you go. All right.
Nice.
That's another carnivore.
Right. So where were we?
I don't know.
Oh damn.
Carnivore Mystic says, my weight doesn't change as much by what is going on with my internal health. Everyone's body is different. Health is about functionality and quality of life. Yeah. I think that's about what you were talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've realized now I'm having more conversations with people where I like kind of on a daily basis or every time we talk, instead of asking just how are you, I ask how do you feel? Mm-hmm. And they'll ask something similar. And that like it gets me thinking every day about how do I actually feel today in a wider way than just like, am I horrible? Because I think I spent but it's funny, but yeah, like that was my thought process. Like, unless I'm doing horrible, unless there's something specifically wrong, the answer to how are you is I'm fine.
Right.
And that's the answer you give to like, someone at church that you don't really talk to, or somebody out on the street that you're not like really friends with. But like when you're talking to a friend, you should be able to give a real answer to that. You should be able to really assess how you're feeling. And even if it's not in a conversation, just for yourself, just say, oh, you know what? My sleep was screwed up last night. What's going on there? And that might have you thinking about, well, what did I do yesterday? What did I do the day before? Mm-hmm. Is there something that I can do differently today or better today to improve that part? And when you're at the point of having, I feel like more of those days where you wake up and you say, I'm actually good. Everything's good.
Yeah.
I think that is health.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like I hear people talk all the time about, weight loss and whether they're losing weight or why they're not losing weight. And the focus is really about weight and not so much about health. And while it is important to lose weight, if you're carrying extra weight, it is not, great. It's not the be all and end all. And so, I feel like a lot of times when I was like on keto, like I would eat some things, but as long as I kind of stayed the same on the scale, I didn't necessarily consider that to be a problem. But now in retrospect, I do see it as a problem. I do think that it was, it was hindering me. It was hurting me to eat those things. And I think that each and every bite does have an impact on your body, and it is something you have to pay attention to.
Yeah. Like I don't even have a scale in my house. I don't know what my weight is doing on a day-to-day basis, but so I just totally go off my qualitative feeling, and I'm just totally thinking of, oh, okay, this is going on. I need to fix that, or I need to look into that, or this is going right, and I'm really happy.
Yeah.
We get stuck on weight, and like you said, weight is important because weight starts to point to, are you still insulin resistant? And I'm saying still because most people start off insulin resistant. That's
Yeah.
what SAD diet does to people.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's way more to it, and yeah, like Carnivore Mystic said, like you can be thin and still be unhealthy. There's plenty of people who, if you look at them with a loose T-shirt on, you'd say, "Oh, that's a pretty healthy person," and then you find out they have diabetes, and you're going, "How the hell did that happen?"
Yeah. And I think that's exactly the point. You have people who can be thin, but still metabolically unhealthy. And, we were talking about that earlier, where we were saying, for example, India and China are having skyrocketing instances of diabetes, yet they are, generally a thin population. So what's going on? And I think it's interesting to discuss. What do you think?
Yeah. So as far as I know, with those places is, well, one, they stay thin because I think Asian people, period, or um, yeah, I don't think it's any specific region in Asia. I think it's just Asians, period, generally have less of an ability to store fat
Hmm.
than other races.
So
And then,
uh-huh, go ahead.
and then so real quick, I think also, so there's that's keeping them thin, but then why they're getting more sick now, why they're getting diabetes so much more now, is that Western diet has infiltrated those areas. So now they're eating more like us, and they're feeling the effects really fast because they don't have the ability to get fat.
Right, right. So there are some people, I think that that's an important thing to sort of just dive into for a second. Um, your ability to continue to get fatter is what can slow down the progression of diabetes in you.
Hmm.
So it is your ability to get to 300, 400 pounds that actually can save your life or give you more time to turn around. Whereas somebody else might gain 20 pounds and that knocks them into insulin resistance. And so, I think that's what Arian's talking about, where there are some people or some populations that just genetically, for whatever reason, tend not to be able to gain a ton of weight. They just get sick really fast. And so that's what you're seeing happening in India and China. But whereas in America, you often see people getting to between 300 and 400 pounds, and then at that point move into having diabetes, full on diabetes. Although there are some people who can get up to like 1,000 pounds, 800 or 1,000 pounds, but that's harder. And I think there is there's some genetic basis for you being able to get that large. But this is something that Ben Bikman talks about, is the health of the fat cell. So some fat cells, some people continue to grow new fat cells, and so they only get so big, but they may have a lot of them, so they can still get to be very heavy, but their fat cells are not so inflamed and sick. But then other people, they don't get so many new fat cells, the fat cells just get bigger and bigger, and so those ones get more and more sick as you have insulin really going up high, trying to force more sugar into the cells, and and not being able to. So those are the people that really have a lot of problems and get very sick
Yeah.
sooner.
Yeah.
So
Like
I
everyone
and
has the ability to expand the fat cells that they have, but it seems like with Asian folks they have less ability to create new ones. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I guess I don't know if there's a way to tell, if other than by what is happening with our bodies, I don't know if there's a way to tell whether you're a person that like makes new fat cells or, I mean, I guess your level of insulin resistance is really all that you have to go on about which one you are. But the bigger point is to deal with the insulin resistance for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of like for sciencey reasons, it would be good to figure out like what exactly is going on there, or what is how does that chart go for like insulin resistance versus weight,
Hmm.
and then we can see like, oh, okay, so you're one of these people who doesn't make many new fat cells, so that's why your insulin resistance is high while your weight's not that high. But the fix is kind of the same.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, Levita
Stop.
Star says, sorry, that there are
Sure.
many fat people in Japan, and that we have so much junk processed food here. So I am assuming Levita lives in Japan.
Yeah.
So that's cool to hear.
Yeah, she's new. Hey, Lavita. She was in the Zoom yesterday or Saturday, one of the most recent ones.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, she real quick, she stayed up. This is the dedication that people have.
Yeah.
She took a nap because she's in Japan, so she's like a whole day or like 11 hours ahead of us or 13 hours, something like that,
Wow.
ahead of us on the East Coast. So she took a nap and came on
Wow.
to
Oh,
came on to the live and then stayed up till like 3 a.m. her time.
wow. All right,
Yeah.
Levita, I'm really glad that you did that, and I'm really glad you're here. This is awesome. So, yeah. So you know, so I think that the discussion about the fat is really helpful to think about why you need to, take care of these things and pay attention to these things. We talk about insulin resistance, and we talk about metabolic syndrome. The reason why we care about insulin resistance is that, it's a reflection of the health of your metabolism. And there are so many studies to show that, uh, you know, uh, your health, your metabolic health, has a huge impact on your likelihood to, progress to the top four killers of all Americans, which is heart disease, stroke, and diabetes and cancer. So those are the things that kill that bring down 80% of the population. So getting away, doing what you can to deal with that is going to have a huge impact on your life expectancy. More than, I think more than any of the benefits of like biohacking with some carbs. So, and maybe more than the benefits of losing a couple of pounds. Carrying like 30 extra pounds is, that's significant. But carrying 5 or 10 extra pounds, I don't know that that's significant, enough to make it worth playing around with carbs and carb cycling and doing stuff like that to try to bring that weight down.
Yeah. Um, real quick. So Studsy asks what I'm drinking. This is tea. That's all this is. This is, what is this? Oolong tea, I think.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, we have Numusa here, who's also getting up early and getting ready for work, I think. So awesome.
Yeah.
So glad. Yeah, we have
Nice.
people from all over the world.
Yeah. Appreciate you people coming through.
Yeah.
Um, and then Raven brought up that they opened a Papa John's, Burger King, and a Dairy Queen in his area. And I can't remember if he moved yet, but at least where he was pretty remote.
Hmm.
He may be in a bigger city now because I think didn't he say that he was gonna move soon?
I think he did move.
Okay,
Yeah.
but still, that's in China where now this is what America's exporting. We're exporting our terrible, terrible diet to other countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 fast food places. There you go.
Yeah. So, so and this is part of why we create, this live stream, the Zooms, and this community is that, we're living in a sugar hostile world. So we have to find ways to support ourselves in not eating those foods. And you need community in order to do that. You need other people to say, hey, you're not crazy. You're doing the right thing. Because when you compare yourself to other people, when when people talk about the risk factors associated with the health markers that we talk about that lead you to metabolic syndrome. So many people have these that it's normalized. When you hear people are on high blood pressure medication, it's just kind of like, oh, which ones are you? In
Yeah.
comparing. It's not like, it's not like thought of as a problem, or it's not recognized as the problem that it really is. And so we want to help normalize health healthy eating and what
Yes.
that actually looks like, and we want to model it for as many people as we can. So that is, that's kind of where we are in the Black Carnivore community. um,
Yeah. And
Biohacking with, yeah, go ahead.
well, yeah, I think you're on the same page I am, at least as far as the carbs go. Like, I'm not into the biohacking. I'm not into this. Oh well, your body works this way, and I figured out, at least for me and some people, that if I do this and I have carbs up to this degree, then I'll do something 6% better or some crap like that. Like, I don't.
Hmm.
To me, that's not real life, and I feel like people. Yeah, let me be really blunt. I feel like people who spend their time on that stuff need real problems. If you had real problems, you wouldn't be spending your time on that because you'd have other things to do. Like, it's so frustrating for me. Like I said in the milk and honey thing, like, I'm thinking about people with diabetes. I'm thinking about, like,
Yeah.
all the other problems that come when I mean, we say diabetes a lot, but like, you could be overweight and have a ton of problems and not have diabetes. You could have, like, for a lot of women, you can have PCOS, you can have high blood pressure, um,
Knee
you can
problems,
have, yeah,
inflammation everywhere, plantar fasciitis.
yep.
Yeah.
You could be a guy and have erectile dysfunction, like, same thing. You could
Yep.
have all the autoimmune conditions in the world and say, and not realize that those things are tied to your health, or I mean, that are tied to your diet.
Hmm.
And that's what is, that's the other side of the equation. Is you can be, so there's thin on the outside, fat on the inside, and that's how you end up with diabetes, like, really quickly, because you just can't build the fat. But then while you're building that fat, you still are going to have high insulin. That's what's keeping you gaining weight over. That's what's keeping you gaining weight, and that's what's keeping you at the weight you are, as opposed to losing, is that you have chronically high insulin. That's
Yeah.
screwing up all your hormones, causing a ton of problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I listen to, like, I work with some people, some of whom are not really ready or interested in doing keto or carnivore, but, I hear them say, oh, if I could just lose some weight, the diabetes will go away, or I'll be in better control of my diabetes. And it's so hard to listen to that. And, and I struggle to, want to say, hey, your weight is a side effect of the diabetes. It is not the cause of the diabetes. And so you will be able to lose weight once you get the insulin under control. But
Yeah.
until, but while you're messing around with the carbs, you're just never going to be able to do that. It just won't happen. And so you're going to have like a constant battle for no reason. And meanwhile, every single day that your insulin is elevated is causing damage in your body every day.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Like, you're beating yourself up and you don't realize it, or you're just not thinking about it, or you're thinking that, oh, I'm doing. We act like the body, like, we don't realize that the body is this, like, wonderfully constructed machine that is, every part of it is interconnected, and we think we could just poke at one part and pull out one part, and we're going to do one thing to it, and it's
yeah,
not going to affect everything else.
yeah, yeah,
Like, oh
right.
no, I'm just gonna. So this person thought that their weight and their diabetes were related, but in the opposite direction.
Hmm.
That you could
Yeah.
fix the diabetes and still be overweight.
No,
Or
that losing weight would fix the diabetes. And that's what her doctor told her. So just lose the weight and it'll help get you a better control of your blood sugar.
oh,
Those things, so that will happen, but it's not because you lost the weight. It's because you got the insulin resistance under control, or under better control. So, but this is like the information that people are getting all the time. And so, it's really disheartening. And so I just don't want our community to be confused by the messages that they're hearing out there, that you can optimize your diet, you can get slightly better performance, that you can get slightly better anything. Unless you are a performance athlete or you make your money off of your body, then absolutely you should be doing this, because if you're getting millions of dollars to be like a I don't know, an Avenger or something in a movie, then
Right.
yes, your job is to optimize to the best of your ability. That may not lead to better health. That will lead to a better pocketbook, which is, that's a fine goal, for some people, but that may or not be more healthy. And, you certainly do see bodybuilders who young look great. As they get older, seem to be cut with a gut. I don't know how that's possible. So,
And
just because you're shredded doesn't mean you're healthy.
right. And the amount of bodybuilders that I see who are like completely cut, like chiseled out of stone, but they still have a big stomach. That stomach is muscular. There's very little adipose fat, but it's still big. And I would always wonder, like, how does that happen? And now I know. You've still got a ton of visceral fat.
Yeah.
You've hacked your body into looking that way, as opposed to actually, like, letting your body recompose itself naturally. So you're still fat. You're just muscular. But, like, you've got this weird muscly big gut. It's so weird looking now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I do want to say one thing here. I see Danny Love says, I fell off on an alcohol binge the last 2 days. My body feels like crap. I've still been eating clean, but mixed drinks. OJ. So, that happens. That happens. People do that. And I will say, on a carnivore diet, you have to be super, super careful with alcohol. Perhaps this is something we should have put on one of our slides. One alcoholic drink will have you in the state as if you had just had 4, so you can get wasted off of a ridiculously small amount of alcohol. So you have to be super careful about that. And you're going to feel horrible. I mean, the hangovers are going to be epic. So it sounds like that's what you got. That's the experience that you had, Danny. So I am sorry. I am very sorry for you. I don't envy you. But someone asked, what triggered you? And Danny says, I just like to drink. And I would argue with that. I think this is, I think, to me, alcohol, if you take a 6-pack, a bottle of vodka, a bag of cherries, a bag of M&Ms, and a loaf of bread, these are all the same thing in different forms. So I do think that, the leaning towards alcohol is that sugar drive that we're talking about. It's a sugar craving, and it just comes in a different package. And I know that when I was drinking, whenever I was drinking more, or hanging out or doing whatever more, I didn't eat sweets then. And I would say, I don't have a problem with sweets. Why are sweets like not really a big deal? It's because I was drinking my sweets. And so I didn't really feel like the need to go get chocolate and stuff like that.
Mm.
So
I would say almost that you two are like talking about the same thing in a different way. So for her, and this is part of the thought process. This is the, it even kind of goes back to that point I made earlier about like just thinking about how you feel and really take into account how you feel. Really take into account why you want to drink. You can say you just like to drink. Okay, I'll be the toddler and I'll say, but why? Is that because you actually enjoy the taste? Is that because you wanted the feeling, the buzz that alcohol gives you? Or do you not really have a reason and you just, I don't know, just felt like drinking? All of those probably, though, are the addiction. That's the sugar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I 100% agree. So, I mean, I know that Danny is new and really has just begun the carnivore journey. I think you're in week 2, maybe. So I mean, these are carb cravings, and they're going to come heavy in the beginning and later on less so. And then I also know you were hanging out with a bunch of people who were also probably partying. So that was an extra an additional what's the word, temptation. So
Yeah.
I get it. Don't beat yourself up too hard. Remember this feeling and, just get up and keep going.
Yeah. I would say, as a person who has gone through similar problems, I guess really all of us, that's what we're going to talk about Thursday. Um, Me, you, and Deb, like, have had issues with alcohol at some point, to some extent. It's fine. Don't be hard on yourself. We're not really, we're bringing this up because this is a comment you put in the chat, but like, we're not picking on you. Um, you just, you'll know, you will figure out at some point that you need to do better, and you will figure out what you need to do better. And I could say personally that involved me changing a bit of how my life worked and how I spent my time.
Yeah. So, I also want to be careful to say that, like, I know that, the carnivore diet is, it's so different. It's so much. It's so different. And I feel like a lot of people are coming here, or they come to me and they're like, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds and I need to lose it quickly. And I heard about this carnivore diet. And then we're coming back at them saying you can't have any of the things you like, and also none of the things that you're addicted to that you rely on for mental and emotional support. And
Hmm.
your whole life is going to change, and you're going to start listening to your body, and you are going to have a completely different focus. All of those things tend to happen with a carnivore diet, but I don't want to I really I want to be careful not to make people feel like they have to do that, or that is the only thing. So, what
Yeah.
we're talking about today is really trying to focus on the things that are most likely to get you moving backwards. And that is, carbs as this gateway drug. That's the thing that, in my opinion, and
Yeah.
alcohol is definitely one of those, and carbs is one of those. And we'll talk about the other stuff on Carnivore Vice.
Right. Yeah, like I know that carbs, or that, in the keto world, they'll say carbs are okay, or not carbs, that alcohol is okay. That alcohol is like, all right, it doesn't kick you out of ketosis, it just kind of pauses your ketosis, which seems to be true, but it, for a lot of people, at least, I will say it is very craving inducing, and that's the issue. Um,
Hmm.
Alcohol in small amounts, your body can handle it. Your body should be able to process the toxin, get rid of it, and you'll be fine. But if you're having the urge to drink more and to drink more, or for a lot of people, they'll binge drink, and then the next thing they want to do, either that soon after or the next day, is now you want to eat carbs. And you're like, but I didn't have cravings before. Where'd that come from?
Hmm.
You ate a sugar byproduct just the day
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. And that's the important point, is to remember, these carbs can kick up cravings, and depending on whether you're prepared to deal with it and what your life is like and what kind of stresses you're under, you may or may not be able to handle that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think we've covered a lot here. I want to make sure everybody knows that we value health here at the Black Carnivore, in the Black Carnivore community, and our goal is to get people healthy and metabolically healthy. And I think that in our community, the top things that are problem for our community is, the high blood pressure, the sugar, and the abdominal obesity, and then, dealing with triglycerides and HDL. So
Mm.
five, I got all five this time. I don't know
Nice.
why, I can't always. So, but those are the things that we most commonly hear about. So those are the ones that we just want to, to kind of deal with. And you can turn those things around with diet alone. So, let's do that. And then
Yeah.
after that, you can decide how much you want to play around. But it takes time to get that stuff down. It takes time to get the insulin resistance down and get to the point where your A1C is below 5, which is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible.
Yeah, I think mine's 4.9 last I checked.
Wow. Yeah. So there you go. It is possible.
It's
Um,
doable.
yeah. And, and don't like don't feel like, just because you're 5.7, like you're in the clear. Like you're already marching up. So, the end result of that is diabetes. Where that is, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we don't know, but there's damage happening all along the way in that process.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you want to get that down, and yeah, I think that just to probably repeat a lot of what you just said, because I think it bears repeating. Like the goal is health, and that's what I think is important about carnivore. And it's been you know how things just happen, and you have like it feels like your life has a theme for like
Hmm.
2 weeks or a month or so. Like right now, my theme is health over weight.
Yeah.
That weight is important and people can be dropping weight, but like we've seen people in this group who their weight is not changing. They're actually kind of disappointed because they're like, I get on the scale and it looks the same as it did the other day, but I feel better. I wake up happier. Um, I have more energy throughout the day. And that is your body getting to a better state. And the
Hmm.
weight will eventually drop, but your body has other priorities. And
Yeah.
I think for most people, um, and maybe not most, but I definitely think for a good number of people, you're going to heal first, or your body's going to prioritize healing, and then at some point, weight will drop.
Yeah. Yeah, and that totally is true for a lot of people. But, and I kind of want to say, that's fine. Like, your body
Yeah.
knows what the emergency is and what is the most dangerous thing. So if it has decided to, deal with some other problem, like, it's good. Let it do that. Because that clearly was on its way to becoming a massive problem. And, just get out of the way. Eat the food that you need to eat to be satisfied, and let it go, and be patient. And so and if you do that, you'll see a lot of healing. Um, but yeah. So at the end of all of this, I just want everyone to, to ignore a lot of
Yep.
the the talk that's out there. I think that there are people who are addicted to carbs and want to get back to them. I think there are people out there that are just love to biohack and experiment, and that's great. They should totally do that. But that's not you. If you're
Maybe
sick,
maybe be
if you're
quiet
sick,
about it.
yeah. Or just say this is not for people who are sick. So if you've got a deranged metabolism, which is most of the American population, don't listen to this.
Yeah.
But don't tell everybody, hey, everyone should be doing this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And even if they're not like explicitly saying that, like that's what it starts to sound like when they're telling you like, oh, well, carbs aren't the problem, or
Mhm.
actually, I think carbohydrates are fine to this extent. Like the obvious next thought for a lot of people is going to be, does that mean that I can have carbs?
Mhm.
I should at least experiment and find out, because you know what I would love? Some sweet.
Yeah.
And yeah, that I guess we could have a whole another thing, or at least part of a show about like sweeteners, period, and all the keto people who love their artificial sweetened everything, keto desserts and stuff. And
Mhm. Yeah.
my gut, and I mean like metaphorically, my gut does not like that idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we shouldn't be making fake sweet things.
Yeah. So, for everybody who is here, who is just getting started, or who is in the middle of their journey, stay the course. Don't be confused. Don't be swayed by, the stuff that you're hearing out there right now. I think that there is sort of, there's just some sort of weird crisis in the carnivore community where people just don't know, they just don't know the next thing to do. So I know there is a lot of people putting out videos, why I quit the carnivore diet, why, why the dogma is too much. Yeah, dogma is not too much, but, but optimal health is the goal always. And you have to take a look at where you are, where you have begun, and let that be your guide as to what your next steps are. And if you are, still metabolically deranged, you can't listen to any of that stuff. You just got to stay the course.
Yeah, I think, while you're still figuring things out, while you're getting stable, keep it simple. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are going to be talking about a lot of things that don't really make sense. They're not really going to signpost it in a way that says, like, just like you said, like just straight up saying, all right, so hey, if you're still overweight, if you're still feeling any symptoms at all, if your A1C isn't below this number or your fasting insulin isn't below this number, like turn off this video, stop watching. They're not going to do that. They want you to watch everything. It's part of what they do. They also want the controversy, so they want the people arguing with them. But I would definitely say, like, while at least, please, oh please, while you are working on getting healthy, keep it simple.
Yeah. Don't have to do anything special. So that's our motto for the day. Yes, there's a difference between healthy and thin. And 2, carbs are a gateway drug, as is alcohol and sweets and all various kinds. So, just stay the course. Stay carnivore, stay strict or moderate or relaxed, and just be aware of your response and know, how quickly or how slowly it might take you to get to optimal health and make your decisions. You're the only one who's got to live in your body. You're the only one that's sick in your body. You're the only one that dies in your body. So, it's up to you to decide how you're going to feel. So, yeah.
Choice is yours and yours alone.
Yeah. Oh, I love what Mia says. Social media and marketing has trained the public not to be patient, as has 2-day Prime. So now that you can get anything in 2 days, it's kind of like, wait, what? I gotta wait 3 days for what? So all these weight loss quick fixes.
I felt that.
So all these weight loss quick fixes, so we must reprogram our brains to make health a priority. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Totally agree. Yeah, like you should be thinking about not just how can I get skinny, but how can I fix all of my health problems that I thought were just parts of getting older, because most of them aren't.
Yeah. None of this is, none of those things are part of getting older. And when I began my weight loss journey too, one of the things I had was it would take me like 5 minutes to like fully warm up so that I could get out of bed and walk to the bathroom. And, I had so many aches and pains and so many things I had to stretch and everything. And I was 44. And I was kind of like, man, I guess this is, middle age. I guess this is how it goes. And when I finally started to lose weight and get on keto, it was like, oh, all that stuff went away. And it was like, oh, this is not part of getting older. And now as a carnivore and so many years older, like I'm in better shape. I still, just jump right out of bed, go to the bathroom or whatever I'm going to do. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Like I feel like I'm in better shape now than I was in college. And
oh my God. Than ever. Better shape now than ever.
And that is like, didn't think that would be possible. Mm-hmm. But I'm also kind of, so 2 things. One, I'm kind of stubborn that way, where like certain things, if they just intrinsically don't make sense to me up here, then I'm gonna go, no, this has to be wrong. Something has to be wrong. There has to be a way, because I just have this belief in my head that this is not what life is supposed to be. So the idea that life is a process of progressively breaking down sounds horrible. Just slit my throat now.
I know, it
Um,
makes you look at those, those animals in the wild and think, I guess I would rather die by being torn apart limb by limb and eaten while still alive. Like, maybe that's a
right.
better way. I don't know.
Then being the three-legged antelope? No, that doesn't
Yeah.
sound fun.
Yeah.
Um, maybe yeah, maybe that crippled antelope runs a little slower on purpose because they know like this is my chance. I need to end this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but then the other thing, so is there actually anything that does get worse with age that is actually supposed to get worse? Or should we feel great up until the day we die and then we just drop dead?
I kind of think it's the latter. We're supposed to feel good until the end and then
Hmm.
just drop dead. I mean, that's how I want it to be. When I'm 100 in a freak scuba diving accident while
Right.
on, like a romantic getaway with my younger, spouse.
Okay, okay.
That's the
I
plan.
feel it.
Yeah.
88 Fox was eaten by a hammerhead shark, we'll say.
No, like
Just happened.
a freak scuba diving thing. I like deep sea fishing and some, weird mysterious fish that has yet to be, or has just been discovered. Like something weird.
Oh, okay. All right. So not even crocodile hunter stung by a stingray in the heart. No, you want something
Mm-mm.
like
Yeah,
you want
just
to
freak.
discover a new fish as you die.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Bet. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's the carnivore dream. Uh,
yeah,
TM, claiming it right now. That's the carnivore dream. It's like,
yeah.
nah, we're not dying doing some regular old. I've been sitting in the hospital for the last 6 months and
Oh
I'm in
God.
so much pain and all that. No, I'm trying to
Yeah,
live life. I'm trying to, like, I haven't played basketball in years. I want to dunk on somebody and that's when I die.
yeah. So, I mean, we're carnivores, eat or be eaten. So you eat and then you are eaten. It's part of
Right.
the circle of life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so let's we're gonna wrap this up. But I have loved all of you who have stuck around and hung out here for this conversation. I just really want to give you all the support that you need to stay the course, not get confused by a lot of the stuff that's being talked about right now, and just remember there is an easier way to manage the metabolic derangement that you've been struggling with, and it's easier than taking a ton of medication. You don't have to be hungry, you don't have to be in the gym for hours and hours every day. You can eat like this, really enjoy it, and do great. All right,
Like,
so go ahead. I
no, nothing. It'll
Oh
it'll
my
come up on
God, so
Thursday.
now I'm the carnivore cougar. um yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if you're gonna make a dream, like, let it be a good dream.
I'm saying
Dream big.
I see no problems.
None. My God, I just, every time I talk, I just tell
You just
myself,
yeah, see, you try to be reserved and then you get to talking and something's out
yeah,
and foot goes right in. Oh crap, did I say that? Yeah, you did. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Carnivore cougar, you is
Hmm.
now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I am the carnivore cougar. I accept it. Yeah, and eventually you all will know more. So, anyway, it was great to have this conversation tonight.
Hmm.
Come back on Thursday for the carnivore vice, where we're going to talk about the many vices that people deal with on carnivore, and which ones are less problematic and which ones are more problematic, and how you navigate that. I know, alcohol is obviously something people do. It's ubiquitous, it's expected sometimes to be consumed, and it packs a wallop, as Danny has already described tonight. So
Yeah.
definitely we're going to talk about that in more detail on Thursday. And have an awesome night. And I love how many people have just dropped in here. Awesome. So glad to see you.
Hit that
But
like button before it ends.
oh yeah, that's right. Yes, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you get notification every time I go live, every time I post a video, because I don't always tell people. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great night. All right.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone. All the cougars,
Bye.
good night.